Welcome, everyone. This is a meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Today is Wednesday, April 14th. It's 3:30 p.m. Is there a motion to call the meeting to order?
So moved. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda, as you gentlemen know or are aware of, yesterday we went through the warrant articles with those responsible for having articles for expenditures and things of the like, except for Mr. Merritt and Fire Chief Gallagher. They're with us tonight, so they can do a quick explanation on theirs if they would like to. I'll let Selectman Mona start the meeting off.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Yesterday we discussed sort of where we are with the budget, and a big piece of that is our department heads and recognizing the work that you all do for us as we're looking to settle, as we're trying to find the balance of our union contractual obligations and what you deliver for the town. It's really important to recognize the great work that you all have done under some really adverse conditions. And I know sometimes it's really easy for folks to say, well, that's just a hired help. It is what it is. But in a terrible, terrible situation, I think the wheels of town hall and the wheels of government have been running efficiently. Every single one of you has made an incredible contribution to the residents, people's frame of mind, and with Chief Gallagher and his team, and Heather and Jim and our finance team. Like, the finance team doesn't get a lot of glory, right? It's kind of like back office, grinding out making sure all the receipts are taken care of and the books are balanced. And that speaks to the, if you don't have your finances in order, then when it goes to town meeting to ask for the big things, voters typically won't acknowledge, they won't reward you. But I think, with our finance team keeping things up and running, and Jerry and EMA and Merrill Lee, Chief Richmond, Public Safety, and Jim Merritt, all of you, we just want to take the time to recognize the great work that you all have done for us over the last year. And I know sometimes, like I said, sometimes the department heads can get lost in that shuffle. And so we just want to make sure that you are properly recognized, and our commitment to you is, as we're trying to sort out the budgetary situation, that your contribution to the town and to us is always front and center, and it's not lost on you, or not lost on us at all. So hope that's not somewhat anticlimactic, but just we felt it was worth recognizing your great work. And Julie, thank you for your work as well. I can say without a doubt, Julie's always advocating on your behalf. And so thank you all. And that's pretty much it. Really, just wanted to say thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
thank you very much for the kind words to all of us. When this pandemic began, there was no question that we were all going to come together to get Acushnet through this as well as could be, and that started with the leadership from the Board of Selectmen. We've done what we've done because of the leadership that we've received from the top, and we acknowledge that and we appreciate that. And as a sign of our appreciation, we did a fundraising effort for the Council on Aging to raise funds. The Firefighters Union fronted the money to purchase T-shirts, which were sold. The proceeds all go to Heather for food programs, especially during this pandemic, and it acknowledges Team Acushnet. And we want to make sure that you gentlemen realize that you are at the top of the list of that team. So we want to present each one of you with a Team Acushnet T-shirt.
Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. We have one. You have one already, correct? We'll get you another.
Well, thanks again, and that's pretty much it, really. So if anybody wants to leave, get home to their families, feel free, unless you want to listen to the articles, and that's all we got at this stage.
Thank you all very much. Ms. Labonte, as town clerk, thank you very much for all the services you provide to our residents through the pandemic as well. I know it's your office is very demanding. So thank you very much for everything you do in your office, and just thank you to all of you for helping out and standing by the residents of Acushnet through the pandemic. I think it's important to recognize all of you folks, and most certainly, I don't want to forget the people in public safety, right? Fire, police, EMS, all of them, and animal control officer. All you folks were out there day in and day night. It doesn't matter what time of the day you were out there delivering the services. So kudos to Chief Richmond and Fire Chief Gallagher for your leadership there, because that's the most critical component to any community, right, is public safety. So thank you guys, and thank your staff very much. It means a lot to us, so thank you.
Yes, and I'll just, I don't know what I can add to what my two fellow selectmen have said previously. It's been a very interesting last year, and we're moving forward, and kudos to all. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll take Chief Gallagher. You would like to go over the quick ones that we didn't get you on yesterday, Chief? You
Sure.
got a furnace replacement for $9,300, a fire alarm panel replacement, fire station number 2. The furnace is for fire station number 2, so if you want to start off there.
Sure. So there's 4 articles that submitted for consideration. As you said, Mr. Chairman, Fire Station 2 has a outdated, severely in need of repair, barely holding on oil burner furnace that needs to be replaced. We're very lucky that we got this far. The technician who has been servicing it for us has no more rabbits in his hat. So this quote comes from him. Obviously, we would do the 2 other quotes as well. And that's it for a total of $9,287. Also, the fire alarm panel, once we went to the radio box, we no longer have the telephone lines connecting town buildings to the fire station. It's now through a radio signal. Unfortunately, the alarm panel that talks to the radio transmitter at Station 2 is also out of service, and that needs to be replaced. That's a total of $2,315. The big ticket items are, we've begun the process of replacing our obsolete hose. Hose has a shelf life per the NFPA. Most of ours was purchased as a bulk, as a block, therefore it's gonna need to be replaced as a block. We received a $15,000 grant this week from the state. Half of that is going to take the first bite at replacing the hose, and then to complete that upgrade, we're requesting $9,072. Once, if this is approved with the grant, all of our hose will be replaced and have another 20 years of service. And last but not least is a placeholder. We're requesting approval to put aside 5% of a federal grant total to replace all of our SCBA's, the self-contained breathing apparatus. Those are the most important piece of equipment that we have for each individual firefighter. We put in a grant. We think we have a very good shot at getting the grant. The grant is in excess of $300,000, and it would provide the packs that are built to the most recent standard. We would be required as a community receiving the grant to pony up 5% of that. Grant notification probably won't come down until late summer, early fall, so we're just asking for the approval to utilize this money. If the grant doesn't come through, obviously, we wouldn't be using it. And those are my articles, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it very much. I think that's awesome if we can get that grant. That's great work. Pretty confident to get it, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Mr. Merritt, there's a few on here. I think I had you labeled somewhere. So 19, I think starts here, 19, Article 19. Let's see, common driveway change.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the common driveway change is something that we've discussed for a while. It was changed last year and really didn't satisfy the requirement that we were looking for. And in reviewing this, we came to the determination that really 150 feet is just too much. We think common driveway is something that's important to have in regards to the retreat lot bylaw, but 75 feet, which is the setback for all retreat lots, the 75 feet meets the requirement that we feel will work best for further development or future development of common driveways.
I agree, I think you did a good job. I think it's pretty cut and dry now, the language.
We hope.
All right?
Mr. Chair, I just have a question. It says, no common driveway shall be constructed within 75 feet of any principal or accessory structure existing. So, I guess this, my question is, if you have a piece of property that there's a home on the abutters, or the abutters have a home maybe 30 feet from the property line, or whatever the setbacks are, I don't exactly recall what the rear setbacks of a house is. And then a piece of property is developed with the entrance to retreat lots. Are we saying that a common driveway cannot be built within 75 feet of that existing house?
That's correct.
Or property?
In reviewing this, we actually talked and had conversations with a number of different engineers who have moved forward with the development of retreat lots. And it was originally their interpretation that the 150 feet that we were asking for was put in place to prevent people from running a driveway right past someone's existing home. We thought that was a little bit too much, and it made more sense to back it off to 75 feet. That way, all the development within an area has to meet the same requirements, so that you really don't have somebody building on top of somebody else, or putting a driveway in because they happen to have the land right next to somebody's house who's enjoyed, just open space there for a long time.
Correct. Because I looked at this and I just saw, this is a common driveway. So if you had a private driveway, say you just had two retreat lots, 40 feet wide, and the house was 30 feet away, you could
Correct.
still proceed with two private driveways onto the property.
Exactly.
You just had two retreat lots
Right.
and go that way.
Yeah, the deal really is to try to get people, because the common driveway services can't service more than 3 lots. It's been my experience that in most cases, the common driveway always services 3 lots. And what we're trying to do is get them to push the common driveway into the middle of that lot. And then there's 40 feet on either side of that area, and there should be the common setback of 15 feet. So by the time you get to the existing common driveway, or the proposed common driveway, you will be close or at, or more than 75 feet from the existing structure.
From the existing structures. Correct. And the common driveway, the actual construction of them is staying the same?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So they have to be 20 feet and 14 feet of gravel, I believe, or something.
Yeah, and clear 20 feet up.
And that.
Correct.
Good. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Selectman Warren, any questions?
No, I think I'm gonna rely on your expertise, Jim. You're in the field, you know what the issues are. I've always heard about common driveways, and it always seemed like there's some bone of contention with neighbors. But if you think this is the remedy, then that's what we're paying you for. So I'll rely on your good judgment.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've had enough discussions with Mr. Mara on this and discussing this with him, so the language is much more clear because it says any principal or accessory structure existing or to be served thereby. So what that means is anything that's built inside of that on those retreat lots for the common driveway, Jim.
Correct.
Your structure needs to be at least 75 feet away from the road.
Right.
The common driveway, I'm sorry. So if somebody, to answer your question, Dave, if somebody had a house here, I believe, Jim, just correct me if I'm wrong for the people at home, I'm gonna pretend that this is an existing structure that's there, and somebody's proposing putting in a common driveway, if this is the edge of the structure, by what this says, 75 feet is where the next driveway can start, the common driveway can start.
Right, from the structure, correct.
That's correct.
That's right.
Correct.
It's perfect.
Correct.
All right. Number 20. Jim, just so you know, we had a little discussion, and I think Selectman Warner mentioned it, we're trying to keep town meeting as what it is little controversy, we'll call it. Because of the COVID, we don't know how many people and how long discussions will take and with the amount of articles, so I think that this could be a head scratcher.
Which one? I'm sorry, I don't have the numbered articles, I just have.
Oh,
the
I
articles.
apologize, I thought you had a copy of them, Jim. So it's the one where the, says to amend the Acushnet general bylaws by adding subsection H to 3.1, 3.32, and adding section I to 3.34. So that would be all the districts except for the commercial district and industrial district.
It's 19?
20.
20.
We just did 19. So number 20.
Yes.
You know, it talks about the materials or supplies shall be stored or permitted to remain on any portion of the property outside of the building constructed thereon. Any finished products or semi-finished products stored on the property outside of the building shall be confined to the rear half of the building and shall be appropriately screened on all sides, but shall in no instance be placed on that side of the building parallel an existing or proposed street. No waste material or refuse shall be dumped upon or permitted to be remain upon part of the said property outside of the building constructed thereon. How do you feel about explaining that to town meeting residents?
Very good, actually. I mean, this is the biggest complaint that I deal with on a regular basis. Almost weekly, I get somebody complaining about the junk that their neighbors have in their front yard. You know, I did speak to David. He knows that there's one instance where I've been chasing a guy for a long time. I have other people in town that I've been chasing for years and years and years, and they just don't seem to get it. And it's detrimental to all the abutting property owners and the value of their property. I just don't think it's something that we want to encourage, and particularly we really want to discourage this in town. I take people to court. The magistrate continues to waive the fees. You know, I've actually been in court where the magistrate, you know, the guy says, well, I need 30 more days to clean it up. And the magistrate will say, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 60. And this would be after already 2 years of me pursuing the problem with the individual. You know, this just adds a little bit more clarity to the junk law that we already have in place. And actually even the vehicle bylaw, which is part of the general bylaw. It just helps me to, you know, enforce what I think most people are looking for the betterment of the community.
Yeah, I agree with the concept of it, to be honest with you, bud.
My initial notes were, this is a cleanup, this would clean up the town, right? So that was before you were talking to. Would this help address the situation down on South Main Street?
In my opinion, David, it would.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Because I see no reason, I understand that you're looking at that property, and I realize that we had spoken that, you know, a fence would be costly, but I see no reason why there shouldn't be something at a minimum in the front of that property, you know, whether it's a picket, you know, stockade fence or arborvitae, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Because I just find that, like you said, it's a real downer for the people who live in that area.
Well, I mean, there's another property where for over 10 years I've been chasing the guy who owns the lot behind Cumberland Farms. Now, it's across the street from the project that Paul Train used to own that Frank Knox now owns. Originally, he purchased it and came to me and says, can I build a house there? Well, it's an pre-existing non-conforming lot, but for a dwelling, it's allowed. But what he did was he turned around, he didn't put a house there, he started throwing all of his business crap on there, by my language. But, you know, this, and fortunately, just last week I received an application from a young man who purchased the lot from him to build a single-family home. So something like that got cleaned up. But I mean, it's taken me over 10 years, you know, to hammer this guy to a point where he's decided, yeah, I'm going to move out and sell the
Jim,
lot.
is there a punishment involved, like a fine available for this?
All of this would go back, David, to non-criminal disposition. So yeah, the
So
fine.
that language is in the soil permit bylaw, right? Is that something we need to explicitly put in here?
It's explicitly in the bylaw,
It's already
zoning
there.
bylaw, all by itself.
Got it, okay.
And I have the right to enforce it against any bylaw that people offend in
Okay.
town.
Great.
Right, so that property we even talked about on North Main Street would be affected by this.
Yes, it would.
And,
Yeah, there's no such thing as pre-existing non-conforming, you know, to something like this. It's only relative to size. So they would have to comply. And now this gives me the teeth to be able to make them or force them build the fence that they, sent me a plan for 3 years ago.
Right. I understand.
And I know the property you're talking about, and I did hear that it did sell, so that was a good thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. And Upland Circle 21.
Yeah, the Upland Circle is something that I've pursued for a number of years, and it's just never really been brought to town meeting. And I think this is something that would be very valuable as the town continues to develop, mainly because it brings the idea of wetlands into the buildable area of the community or a lot. What this means now is that you can't have a lot where the whole front of it is wet and presents complications similar to what Ms. Labonte was explaining to me, the properties that she has on her house or near her house on Thomas Hill, where the frontage of these lots actually is on Main Street, but they couldn't access it because of wetlands. So what they did was they brought their driveways down Thomas Hill and they access all their addresses off of there. That's not the only area. There are other areas where you have the regular development of lots, and there's a number of subdivisions which come to play where the 150 by 150 area can exist within a lot, but you can also have half of that as wetlands. And now that's kind of forcing a development of property to be built up so that people are actually putting their foundations on grade. It creates a problem for runoff and stormwater and, the development of other types of unwanted growth in our drainage system, which is protected by our MS4 permitting. I just think it's something that would be very valuable. Initially, what I tried to do was to overlay this over the entire community, and there are other communities which have this in play. I've seen other plans where the circles need to be there. In fact, one of the young men who works for me is looking for purchasing a piece of property in Middleborough, and he brought the plot to me, and right in the middle is the Upland Circle, and it's a good development tool for land that is very marginal. And right now, as we develop in town, you can come across more and more marginal land that will be developed, regardless. This means now that you have to have this Upland Circle right smack dab in the front of your lot to determine that you have enough upland or dry land to build on without implicating your neighbor, implicating the town's drainage system, implicating the wetlands, and so on and so
So
forth.
there's a lot of, like, you can think of Mattapoisett Road, Mendel Road, Perry Hill. There's a lot of area where all of a sudden you're seeing, trees getting cleared and development taking place, and you're going to say to myself, how the heck is this going on? And you can see how wet it is, on the front of it, And like,
Yep,
how the
wasn't
heck is
developable
this
5 years ago, 10 years ago, but we're doing it now.
Right.
It's fair. It's unfortunate that, the homeowners, most of them. are
And
getting
this right now is really only particular to the village, so it only maintains the smaller lots within our community. At some subsequent year, I would like probably to move it forward and overlay it in the RA district, which is the majority of our town.
But it says section 3.34,
E.
uplands, E6, upland circle, no dwelling, building, or structure having permitted use in any district.
Yeah, it says any district, but right now, that section only relates to the village.
Because that's what the village is, 3.3.
.4. Yep.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. DeRoche?
Mr. Merritt, I'd just like to go back to the retreat lots again, because I had another thought on them. You have a common driveway, the actual structure, the home, is there a distance that the home can be away or not be away from the common driveway? Is that
Yeah, if you
determined?
continue to read, you'll see that what we're asking for is that you have to have or you have to have a driveway, not a common driveway, but a driveway that services the dwelling within 150 feet. That's basically for emergency services.
Okay, so the house can be 150 feet away from the common driveway.
No, from the driveway.
of the driveway.
It can't be more than.
Okay, all right.
So one relates to driveways, the other one relates just to common driveways. And sometimes that point is missed just because of that one word common, but that's what it is.
All right, I'm fine. Thank you.
So, Jim, to go back to that, it can't be more than 100, a structure can't be more than 150 feet off the common driveway?
Off a driveway. In other words, if you
Oh,
have.
this is, this
Yeah,
one's
if you have a
replacing-
common driveway with 3 lots, what you would have is the common driveway that runs up the middle, and then sometimes it'll branch off. So the first 2 houses need to be serviced by a driveway, but the driveway has to be, the house has to be 75 feet off that common driveway.
That's a setback.
The other house in the back, all right, can be serviced at the end of that common driveway by its own driveway, but that driveway needs to reach at least within 150 feet of that dwelling so that emergency vehicles like
Wow.
fire and stuff can get there and service it appropriately.
All right.
Okay. Very good. And then 22 says you're basically taking out light manufacturing, Jim, on 13. We talked about this a few months ago, you and I, and renumbering those items as follows. So it's just basically eliminating from the residential district light manufacturing.
Correct.
Somehow, some way, light manufacturing got.
I mean, it is today allowed only by special permit, but again, that can become a complication because any small light industry would gain strength as they get bigger and bigger. And, you know, then it's going back and telling people, listen, you gotta get out of here. And I just don't understand why you could have an area in any of the really nice developments in town, which is really throughout town, you know, somebody right next door could decide, well, I'm gonna start manufacturing something. And even light manufacturing, the definition isn't conclusive enough to eliminate a lot of probably offensive uses. I just don't think it's appropriate to have it anywhere
And
in residential.
that's only in the residential A district.
Correct.
So, do we have any instances that you're aware of as the building inspector of any of these so-called light manufacturing in?
Not currently, but I have had people ask about it.
So we won't have to worry. If we pass it, we won't be taken away from somebody in the residential. That's fine. Better to do it now before we are impacting somebody, right?
Right.
Well, then again, it would turn into a pre-existing non-conforming use, right? And that'd be the only one allowed? If there was somebody already in the
Correct.
umbrella?
Yeah. Yeah, if a special permit was granted, we would, yeah. we would-
Right. Okay. But to your knowledge, it hasn't been?
No.
And then 23, Jim, is something that we've talked about. We don't know how. I talked to Julie, she said you may have made that recommendation for the minimum pavement width of 22 feet and a minimum layout of 30 feet.
Yeah, that was something that Henry and I had talked about a number of years ago. It existed, and at the time, kind of felt that the planning board really, that falls in their jurisdiction, and, you know, they kind of should have the right in certain particular instances if they have a roadway that may service as a private way, just a single lot, you know, to make that jurisdiction. But I see no problem with putting that back in.
Yeah, I think after what we just seen done, it needs to be put back in, right? Because once it went the way it was before, they could waive it.
Right.
And I think that.
Now the bylaw would require them to
The
get the
bylaw has
variance.
required it all these years. If somehow it got changed in 2015 is when the change occurred.
Right.
So, it could have saved some heartache.
So this number was determined, the 22 feet, and the minimum layout width of 30 was before 2015? I mean, was that?
Yeah, it was
That was always there, yeah, since '95 when the bylaws were drawn up. It's been
Okay.
there.
So it was always there, and then 2015, we kinda shook it out,
Mhm.
but. All right, Jim, I don't think we have anything else, for discussion. Do you have anything else that you're aware of? Because I don't believe so.
No, I'm good.
Okay, boss. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate your time. All right. So, gentlemen, we can get down to the nitty-gritty. We'll just start from number one, gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'll just blow right through them. And number one's just a housekeeping one, we don't have to go through it. Number two is to pay any past bills, prior year bills that we know of, there's none, correct, Ms. Hebert?
That's correct.
Number three is snow and ice removal for the amount of $11,000. Is that still an accurate number, Ms. Hebert?
It is.
Number four is really the omnibus to fix the salaries of all elected and to fund and improve collective bargaining agreements, which we only have one that's active from prior years. It's already been approved so far. And raise and appropriate the sums further. So this is really the omnibus budget, number four. Number five is golf enterprise. Just need the numbers buttoned up inside of there once the budget's been finalized. Number six is sewer enterprise fund, same situation. Number seven is cable access fund, same situation. Nothing that requires any funding. Number eight, for the Board of Selectmen to apply for grants, no big deal, housekeeping. Number nine is to expend Chapter 90 funds, same thing, housekeeping. Number 10 is a housekeeping authorizing the town treasurer to be able to borrow from time to time if need be. Number 11 is the big kahuna. This is a bunch of articles, so we will start on number 11. First up for discussion, gentlemen, is the replacement of radios, cruisers, and portables. The chief was in yesterday and went over this, discussing the need for that because of the agreement that we had done a few years back with Chief Alves, working on the microwave band with the antennas and the things that are like that. Infrastructure's in place for Haven and Mattapoise that have the radios, but they can't go online until we get the approval. Discussion.
Fine with me.
I agree. Selectman Warner, you good?
Yeah, I agree.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second, Selectman Warner.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is replacement of computer servers and associated software. I believe this is unnecessary, not dead yet, but on its shelf life, so
Motion to approve.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Fire EMS is for the furnace. You just heard the chief speak on this. Think it's something that needs to be done. Any comments, questions?
Nope. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Firearm panel replacement, $2,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Replacement of the hose is a necessity.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fire EMS grant seems to be an incredible deal if we get the grant, and if not, it'll just go back to the general fund in the amount of $15,000 for $300,000 worth of breathing apparatus. I think it's a hell of a trade-off.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
DPW loader, $285,000.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
DPW new street sweeper in the amount of $275,000. The street sweeper is questionable for me.
Yep, it's questionable for me too.
Same here.
The amount of time we're gonna use it, I think it'd be better to sub it out.
I'd like to, well, I don't know if we talked to Dan about that, but I'd like to get an idea for the board to, we talked about, I've talked to numerous people about subcontracting that out and things, but it is nice to have your own street sweeper for doing lots and things of the like, so I get that part of it, but
Just a timing thing, I mean,
I'd like to have more discussion wrapped around the street sweeper, give us a better inclination, so if you guys,
And Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just gotta say, we do have one. I understand it's old, I understand, but we do have one if they need to clean the school parking lots, or they need to clean the DPW parking lot, and, we have one.
motion to table.
Yep. Motion to, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Equipment, recycling, grinding, gentlemen, we said not a budgetary thing because it didn't need to be, so we agreed to make this as a $40,000 article, and that's all the crushing and things of the like that he uses all over the town and all these other projects, so I think it's something we do every other year or thereabouts, so I think it's a great expenditure of funds.
Yep, motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, just so
Yes, sir.
the running tally, so they're at 783 minus
508.
275.
We're at 508.
Okay.
Number 12, gentlemen, is something that I think that we leave on just because the new loader was something that was on last year. We're gonna attempt to do it again this year. However, if for some reason it does not pass, we got what the recommendation was by other people and things of the like. We got $90,000. It is conditional. If the new loader is passed, we will not need this. So is there a motion to keep on the agenda, on the warrant?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
13 was from the assessor's office for the industrial properties, to bring in a consultant in the amount of $20,000. I think it's a great expenditure. Any comments, questions, concerns?
Nope, motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 14 is a consultant to review and update the town's zoning bylaws, $25,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The worst thing that happens, gentlemen, is we don't spend it, but it'd be nice to have the money available and try to see what we can do with Mr. Marrett, working with somebody,
Yep.
the consultant, and things of the like.
Sure.
He's probably got the greatest insight on the bylaws and things that need to be adjusted out, so that'd be awesome. 15 is to school capital improvement budget. And I got something new from the schools.
Yep.
They've got a tally list. Julie, for them, it says encumbrance to fiscal year '22, so that's what Ms. Gomes was talking about, is carrying money over, but I guess it's,
Yep.
is
Using
that,
their current year surplus to encumber money, which they could then spend in FY '22 if it goes that far. So it'd essentially be using their current surplus.
is that legal?
Yes, for certain ones, yes.
That,
For the certain ones that they highlighted,
Yep.
let's ask that question, because
Yes.
I'm not a mind reader,
Yes.
and I know this was sent over as around lunchtime, so today, so.
Yep.
Mrs. DeRoche, did you have something you want to add? Say.
I did. I'm sorry. Continue, Mr. Chair.
So, they had a whole list of things here, gentlemen. I know they had a big surplus this year that was discussed and vetted throughout their meetings and things of the like, in excess of, I think it was over $600,000 in surplus. So they do have some requests here, and I think the preventative maintenance and roof, we've been doing that. I think most of that was geared up towards the Acushnet element. We're trying to do a roof, however, we don't know what's happening with that, so they have no change, keep as a warrant article for their roof in the amount of $15,000 for preventative maintenance. You want me to go through everything that they're encumbering for and talking about it, or you want to just go through it and?
I think the ones that they're looking for articles for, you know?
Yeah.
So the next one is a rooftop antenna replacement in the amount of $18,000. Gentlemen, I spoke on this because I was dealing with the MSBA with Miss Hebert in the school administration when we first started talking with their OPM, because we don't choose the OPM or any of that nature because it is an MSBA grant, so we don't get that choosing. So we did talk about the antenna having to be removed off the roof. In the amount of $18,000. We spoke with them last night, and I asked that question. There was some discussion, I believe, and I think it would consider some further investigation on whether or not we're gonna do something on a cement pad off the roof, so that we don't have anything on the roof anymore, and leaks and things of that nature. The less you put on a roof, the better off you usually are, and the longer it'll last. So I'm not so sure if this rooftop antenna is something that, until we get the roof done, they can temporarily take that antenna off the roof. So I'm sure it's gonna be placed on the ground. or however they're gonna do it, because I know it was set for a certain height to be able to communicate the repeater systems and things of the like, so they'll have to figure that out, or we'll all figure it out, whatever we need to do. And then when that scope of that project, that roof, if it's even gonna be done, if it comes in on budget, right? It could carry over, and I don't think that it would be scheduled for this summer. Ms. Hebert, we don't have any updates yet from MSBA, do we? I haven't seen it or heard it.
No, I actually have a phone call back to MSBA. It's been a lot of back and forth with the lady and her supervisor, so she called me today. I didn't get to call her back, but I think we might have a resolution and be able to move forward, so.
Yeah, that was on like the $9,000 they were already looking to hit us with, right above and
Yes.
beyond, which is.
For the designer costs, yeah.
And when we talked about this, that should have technically already been out to bid, because didn't we talk, when we first started talking about this, they said something about going out for bids in January or February, because they have to get the work done in the summer or something?
Yep, we're definitely getting close, though.
It's just a tough one. The rooftop antenna for me, I mean, the roof's gotta be done. If it is gonna get done, it is gonna get approved. I mean, we could always do something in the fall town meeting, if we have a fall town meeting, which I'm sure, well, I'm not so sure, but it's possible you would have a fall town meeting. And we don't know whether we're doing a ground one now or another rooftop one. It's up to the board. So I'll leave this one. And we'll go down to dark fiber installation, Middle Road School to PD, $60,000. I talked to the chief to ask him if he was aware of anything on this. He's very vague on it, and it's kind of a dedicated line from the schools, but the schools have, the police department has the capability now to see all the cameras and monitor everything going on at the schools, so I don't know. I know he said there was a much more expansive idea of this dark fiber leading to town buildings and things of the like. I don't know if it's something that's needed or wanted.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask, is this something that we could do with CARES Act money? I don't know what we have left in that account at all. I don't know.
So I guess I just want to have clarification if it's relating to technology, like improvements for the internet at the school. I think, yeah, like essentially CARES is anything related to COVID and the issues that we've had with COVID, and so obviously internet connection at the school is important, where we've had remote and everything like that. So I think if that's the main purpose of it, that could definitely be something that CARES could cover.
Yeah, this is called dark fiber, for the simple reason that it's a dedicated line for no public internet service through that line. It's a dedicated line from the school department to the police department for security reasons and backup. That's what I was told today by the chief when I spoke to him on this, if he had any inclination. So I would imagine that then you would be talking backup servers, so you could be backing up data in a different site other than the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Backup police, I guess, which counterintuitive back to the schools.
Is this a result of, and I realize I'm going back full time, but I know a number of municipalities, they were dealing with some cybersecurity issues, right, with their online platform and things of that nature. If this, I guess where we're going with this, I think it sounds like there's a need for it, but I'm just wondering if we could fit that under the, as we start to wind down that first tranche of CARES Act money, if that might be something that we could use for this expenditure, because then it's less money that we're asking taxpayers for, right? So kind of so I would advocate for that. If we can take care of it with CARES, that we know we're going to be getting a substantial sum of money again for the town. The less you have to ask town meeting for, the better. Would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I agree. And I know we didn't get a great explanation either for it, so it'd be kind of hard to sell it.
Right.
I mean, it's a school article, so.
We could put it on there and then, with an agreement to table if we have additional information. Again, my preference would be to take it out of CARES money, and not have to go to town meeting. with that request.
Because hey, Chief was still here, I'd be able to, because I just said, what's the purpose of this? Is this for
Something that's like
security?
solid,
Is
yeah.
this a security?
It is,
type?
it's a technology thing. It was
Right.
thrown out here a few years ago as an article as well, and it was explained, I apologize, I don't remember what we discussed. I know it was some of what we discussed, and I did call the chief, Richmond, today, and had a discussion to try to refresh my memory, but he obviously wasn't the chief at that time, it was Chief Alves. So he'd be more familiar with it, and he said that there was some kind of, it's only a dedicated line, communication line, internet line from the school to the police department, and there's nobody else that's able to tap into it. That's why they call it dark fiber, because it's dark. Nobody else is allowed on it. There's no public people tapping into the line and getting internet service off. It's a dedicated line that's only there, so it's for, like Dave said, security purposes and things of the like, but I think it's the project scope is a little bit deeper, where you're gonna get into, if you're gonna be sharing that line, and they're already sharing it. The chief said I can see inside the schools now and watch all the cameras and everything else, so he didn't really have a good explanation. No fault of his own, he wasn't part of that conversation back then,
Right.
so.
I can always follow up with the school too. I know we have a meeting next week, so I can follow up with them and get a better explanation and see. CARES, they do have, a question line where you can ask, like, would this be covered, and see if it would be covered. So I can have that for you for Tuesday.
Yeah, I can follow up with Cares.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we'll leave the dark fiber. I think the question needs to be asked too, is this, I think this number is old from a few years ago, and making sure that that's right.
Mhm.
We're not getting 60, then it's 40, then it's 50 more, and things of the like, right?
I guess, right, Chris Oliver would be the guy to talk to about this, right?
And how much of a necessity is it versus what we have now? So that's that. And then they have curriculum, $75,000. However, I have a note here that they've added $250,000 in their budget for curriculum, so I don't know how much money, what kind of plan they have, how much money they have going to curriculum, how much money they're investing on a yearly basis for curriculum, how many years are they gonna have to invest, what amount of dollars. I mean, if they got 250, they still have money from the last time we had town meeting. And then they're doing 250 out of this year, and then that's becoming a reoccurring budgetary item all over again in their budget, so they'll be getting 250 every year for curriculum. I'd have to say that you're not spending $250,000 a year on curriculum. I mean, that's something wrong with that. I mean, what have we been teaching all of these years, and is it all extinct? That's my question. I was unaware of the 250 that they had inside their budget, but
Right,
transferred.
We give them, what did we appropriate, 77,000? 6 months ago. That's still, I don't know if it's been implemented at this time.
Well, it hasn't been spent.
Hasn't been spent. I know they said the person who was supposed to implement the curriculum left the school district, so they haven't implemented it yet.
Is it true what I heard, that $250,000 is being preloaded from their surplus this year and going into their budget?
I don't know about that. I know that when they did their budget presentation for FY22, they said that they had budgeted about $250,000 into their operational budget for FY22.
Yeah, I tend to agree on the curriculum piece. I kind of just feel like that's a programmatic decision that the school committee and the school district needs to make. I'm a little uncomfortable with following that precedent of going to town meeting and asking for that expenditure,
Mhm.
I feel, quite frankly, a little more comfortable with going to town meeting asking for the wall, to do the wall, because at least that's a one-time deal. And, I was even gonna suggest, if you could create the argument with CARES because of social distancing to pay for the wall, and then the money that they were gonna pay for out of their own budget for the wall, if we covered that with CARES, they could then use that for the curriculum, and then it's not a town meeting article,
Right,
it's
that's
just,
the-
it's
Yeah,
fun.
an offset,
It's just, it's an offset, right? So we're still working with them. I just kind of feel uncomfortable going to town meeting you know,
With
setting that
curriculum
first
every year.
curriculum.
With curriculum.
And I think that's something that Brian Noble started back when he was here, and he started that game with the school, saying, oh, at least then we have control over it, but it seems like from the conversations we've heard is curriculums, and I think I spoke to the school committee last year on curriculum, or the year before even perhaps, is that should be something that you have in your budget, because if it is something that you're updating, it should just be, I'm not saying you need, I don't know what they need, but you'd have to have a hard time believing if they're putting 200,000 or 250 back in their budget, then we shouldn't be funding it through articles
Right. It
anymore.
becomes a priority, right?
If it's something that they need every year, or they're gonna be doing something, they're gonna be on a, call it a 5-year program, but then at the end of those 5 years, you move into the next certain grades and doing this, it's a continuous thing. It needs to be done, but.
And it was explained last night, or the question was answered, that no one has a real definite answer, definitive answer on how many years. It's an ongoing process that's gonna take many years to accomplish, so.
I wrote here, they don't need all of this, I don't know if that's something that they said, savings and.
I think they're looking to build like an escrow account, to be
Yeah.
able to make decisions, during the school year, right? So they want to have an account that they can, either, let's say it's the month of October or September, not have to wait to go to town meeting or whatever. But I think if we can help out with the one-time expenditure things,
Yeah.
through CARES, that frees up that money for them to make that programmatic decision and the priority, make it a priority. I think that's probably the best we can do in that regard. So then we're not getting into programmatic decisions on their behalf as
Right.
well. Yeah, that's not what I signed up for.
Okay, so we go back, preventative maintenance on the roof, $15,000.
Well, I see no problem with
Yeah,
that, so
that's
motion
fair.
to approve,
15, motion to approve,
Mhm.
at least until we get them back, and if we get a roof on that building, and that's a partial roof replacement, that's the problem with that, so we'll have to see where this is gonna go, because this is something that we've been doing. Actually, there was a couple of years we gave them 50,000 for roof repairs, so. Next one is, the rooftop antenna replacement in the amount of $18,000.
I'm open for discussion on that at town meeting, so,
Yeah, I know, well, I'm just conflicted because I know the conversations that we've had in the room with Ms. Hebert, and we did have that conversation. I'm not imagining that, right? We did talk about a ground-mounted antenna on a slab, so that we're not up on the roof anymore and with antennas and the things of the like and everything else. So it wouldn't be as high as the one that we have at our PD, but similar to that, where you put a slab in the ground, a little metal one, and it goes up and you put things on, but it was a certain height and things of the nature. The school's call it 35 feet in height, so that's 35 less feet. So maybe the antenna would cost a little bit more doing the ground-mounted one, but I think the ground-mounted one may be the right option.
Yeah, so either way, right, so we're not questioning the need for the antenna.
No.
We're just, so that appropriation would stay the same, it's just where you put it, right?
Yeah, I think if we end up doing a school, I don't know how bad the antenna is, so if there's an appetite for 18,000 bucks for the school antenna, I have no
think that's
problem
fair.
with it. So at least they'll have the money in the budget if we can do something, and they need $10,000 more to do one that's ground mounted. I don't know the cost difference. I probably have it somewhere in notes at home when we were discussing it, what it would be, but I don't have that with me, so we wanna make a motion to approve the rooftop antenna replacement,
So moved.
and at least they'll have some money.
second, yep.
Julie, can you change the verbiage, please?
Yeah,
Can we just write antenna replacement so that, we're not caught on logistic stuff where it says rooftop and, oh, that's what we gotta spend the money on? Can you just
Got it.
leave it more open and say antenna replacement for them? So the schools have some flexibility there, right?
absolutely.
Okay. What do you want to do? Duct fiber installation, Middle Road, it's not something, again, it's not something that anybody's been jumping up and down about. My honest opinion, I think we can hold off on it and have them come in and do a little presentation and have more in-depth conversation about it. Or perhaps, as Selectman Wona had suggested, see if we can use CARE money for it, and if not, then we'll discuss it again if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, motion to table?
Second.
All those in favor?
Right?
And then curriculum, we discussed over and over, we're not gonna fund that, right? Because they're doing it in their budget, and it should be something in their budget. So we're good?
Yep.
Okay.
We need a motion on that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Motion
motion.
to table?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And it looks like they had a note at the bottom of this where they talked about Article 16. Ms. Hebert, please correct me if I'm misinterpreting, but it looks like they're gonna, it says over here, school to use fiscal, same thing, funds to contribute.
Yep.
So it's basically, they didn't use the verbiage possible encumbrance or anything like that.
So they don't need to encumber it, they're just gonna do a transfer at the end of the year with surplus into that account. And again, there's a cap, so they can't transfer more than, I think, as it stands right now, about 98,000, but
But
it'll be a transfer if that happens this
That was
year.
something I would have been definitely, give them something for that account, because it is something that can catch you off guard, depending on the student. So 16 is just being stricken, correct?
Yep.
Gentlemen, just one, if I can go back to the wall, the gymnasium wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love the fact that the school department was looking to fund that, with their existing funds. But if I'm trying to get in their head, they were looking for us to help out with the curriculum, like try to reverse that, right? So if there's a commitment, we can get to look into CARES Act money or some type of, to help defray that cost. I think that would be a good faith effort on our part to, be consistent with our one-time expenditure type of stuff.
Okay, you want to fund the cafeteria wall?
Yeah, I think that would be the right thing to do, just by, again, they handle the curriculum piece of it, and we help out with the other stuff, the wall.
Well, one-time expense.
Yeah, I don't know if that's through
I
town
was-
meeting or through CARES, however we get there, but I think that would be a
I
fair.
can find out about CARES for that. I do think, if you're looking at it as a way to separate the room, I think that would be something that CARES
Right.
would allow, but I'll make sure.
So if we can relieve that burden.
So we should technically, I agree with Selectman Wona, and they've been talking about the wall, and if it is dangerous, and you don't want kids playing around with things that are broken and cut, and, they have, forget about it, I just don't like the idea, and, we're all in this together, so I appreciate the fact that Selectman Warner wants to revisit and go back to that, even though they said they were funded, because I was gonna talk about the wall, something that they need to do and free up some other cash, so $84,000. Julie, whatever you can do, is there a motion to put the wall, and we'll let them know that we would like to fund the wall?
Well, do you wanna
The
hold
cafeteria
that
wall,
vote
gymnasium.
until
Yeah.
Tuesday and let me find out if it's on CARES, and if it's covered by CARES, then we can remove it from the warrant, and if it isn't, then we can put it on.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's fair, right.
Okay.
So
If it's CARES Act, it goes through the CARES.
what are you doing? You telling me I got another meeting on Tuesday?
We do have a meeting next Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
Burning the
Hopefully
midnight oil here, huh?
Hopefully short if we don't have a lot of stuff to go through.
It'll be a short meeting.
I'll have to zoom in for that one. Sorry about that.
I'm crying out. Well, we'll figure it out, because this is news to me. So we're gonna look to put the 84, we're gonna see if we can get CARES funding for it, and try to help them alleviate some of that cost, right?
Yes.
How will we know for sure if we can use CARES Act?
They have a questionnaire that you can fill out online and to ask, this is what we're looking at.
And it
Would
comes
be
back to you
covered?
right away?
Yeah, I mean, it usually takes a couple days, but they'll get right back to you.
So you can notify, please
Yeah.
notify Kristen
Yeah, I already emailed her.
Flynn right away and see what she can plug in there, and then we'll
Yep.
take that back up. We'll leave that one as an open
And if we
one.
can't do CARES, then we would do it as an article.
I'll fund
Yes.
it all day long for an
Yeah.
article for the schools.
Yeah.
It's good to get rid of this problem. We have problems, they have problems, let's eliminate some of the problems, so, thank you, Selectman Warner. And again, Julie, we're striking 16, so the numerical order will change in the final warrant.
Yep.
Stormwater management bylaw, gentlemen, we've already talked about that, we good with that? Pretty basic stuff, it's just changing out some of the smaller dimensional things from 5,000 to 10,000 for some small homeowners and small project doers, do-it-yourselfers, and then going from the 5,000 disturbance of 5,000 square feet of land to 40,000 square feet of land. Not a great big deal to our stormwater bylaws.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
A comment, any question for us to think about? Is it tomorrow night that these bylaws go before the bylaw review committee?
Yes.
I would feel more comfortable getting their decision. I'm just throwing that out there. We have a number of bylaws here. We've got an explanation for them. I wouldn't want to overstep and approve, and then there's an issue with
We
people
can
who
do that,
review them.
we can rediscuss that on Tuesday night as well, then. I mean, if we're gonna take up the article for the curtain, we can just go through it and make a motion to approve, pending, you
Well,
know.
they're
Is the
approving.
bylaw review committee actually meeting, or
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yes.
is town council making that meeting?
I don't think so. Town council has all the articles though that they're reviewing separately.
You know, just if there was an issue situation that.
Miss Leonard, I think she came running down the stairs. 'cause-
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because Pam actually called me today and she I thought she was still gonna be here, but she did mention that you as the Board of Selectmen on this, I think it's stormwater, and there was one other, or
Soil
two
water?
other articles that you have to hold a hearing for and approve. I mean, they're not long, it wouldn't be long, but we have to post 2 hearings in a row in the paper.
For what?
Which I didn't, I ran into my office to grab the paperwork.
It's an amendment, it's not a new bylaw. It's just an amendment to
The
a
way she
bylaw.
kinda explained it to me was that we had, actually I gave it to you, the one that
That's enough to
paperwork that.
table.
I'll ask town council.
Yeah, so I think it's 16,
What's,
17.
I would like to.
Oh, she's going back to 15?
I would like, you know.
No, it's not, it's 15 was for the school stuff, so it's 17 would be stormwater.
Yes, I think-
18 would be the floodplain, which we never had a public
And then
hearing.
I think it was
We never did this
20.
It's an amendment, it's not a new bylaw.
Did she send you an email?
No, she called me on the phone.
Oh.
It's 24, 25.
24.
Soil
We haven't gotten to
conservation.
that.
Oh, is that abolishing the other one?
Forget about it.
Yeah,
It's
24 is
22.
this,
Amend the general bylaws.
that's an amendment too.
Soil conservation bylaws, she said that's under you. And then.
Yeah, but the
Water
conservation,
protection.
26 being tabled anyway, we don't even have a conservation bylaw.
Yeah.
Right, that's.
So 26 is history. What other ones, Lisa, she
So it was
mentioned?
24 and 25. I just didn't
Oh.
want to forget it while we started getting on those.
Oh, so 24 is the soil
Soil.
board kind of thing. It says soil conservation bylaw, so
Nice to know that.
24, we'd have to dance.
Let me ask town.
How about
council.
25's garbage, we're striking it.
Did we vote to remove it?
Yeah, we're not,
That's okay.
that's the
Yeah, I got
groundwater
that.
protections
Right.
overlay
Right.
district, and she
I
said
get
we
that.
got like 200 feet for the watershed for Faven or something like that. We didn't have to do it.
Is that just-
And then one other district, I think she said something about the mobile home park had their own well, which was news to me, but okay.
Yeah.
26.
Yeah, they did.
So 24 is in question.
Yes.
Lisa, you
Yep.
still with me?
Yep.
She's talking about 24 for some reason. I'll look into that, gentleman, tomorrow. We'll talk about it Tuesday real quick. So 24 is the only one that we're interested in keeping, so I wrote table, should be vetted more anyway. So that's the
Okay.
groundwater protections overlay district. Is there a motion to table? Let's might as well do those
So
while we're
moved.
here.
Second.
26, all those in favor?
Aye.
26 is the conservation. We don't even have a conservation bylaw, so we have to table that. Is there a motion to table 26?
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So Julie, 25 to 26,
Got it.
history. 16 is history.
Gentlemen, I have no, you know,
Stormwater,
Problem.
she didn't, Lisa, she didn't say anything about 17 or 18? Hold on, Mr. DeRoche,
Not a
please.
problem.
Just because she came down and now I don't understand the reasons why they're all amendments.
Right.
Current bylaws, they're just amending them.
Right, and then I only knew zoning needed.
No, that's under, planning. Well, I put meeting with Storm. so-
Maybe because it could be that the planning board would have to have a public hearing. But that's history, dude. If that's the case, it would've been nice to know this 30 days ago, because there's no time. They'll never make any of this stuff then. So we could be striking a lot more,
I'm asking directly.
because if we're only amending, let's go back to 17, gentlemen. If it says vote to amend, and then 18 says vote to amend, but then so doesn't the ones that they're saying
Right.
vote to amend. So, I mean, that one's not even good anyway, so that was garbage. It's just the way it was written.
They all say vote to amend.
I think they're having hearings anyway, the planning board.
The soil conservation one, I don't know, find out. Ms. Heber, we're just gonna continue on so we can get through
Yeah,
this.
we'll continue on. I'll
And
find
then,
out all
and
you
then what
know.
we need to do is just find out what's the difference between the other 17, 18s versus the 20s, the ones that's in question, and it could just be because it's, I think zoning ones might have something to do with it. If it's a zoning change, it might require a public hearing by the
Does.
planning board.
Right. Zoning is 2
Which
weeks'
Jim left, but it's an amendment on number 20, it's a zoning article. So zoning, anything that's zoning might require public hearing. So if that's the case, we're on 17. We're just gonna go through this. Mrs. DeRoche, yes, the bylaw reviews committees, but for us, the Board of Selectmen, if we're okay with it, we'll make motions to approve that we're okay with putting it on the warrant, and then the bylaw review committee's only gonna review the ones that need to be reviewed, and see if they're okay with it as well. So for our purpose, we'll do it. If bylaw review committee says, we got a problem with this, we don't like this for whatever reasons, then Tuesday night we'll correct that, we'll table them then, okay?
Yes.
Just to get it out of our way for
That was
now.
my comment.
Try to clean up as much as we can,
You
and
know,
then we'll be notified by Ms. Hewitt, I'm sure I will be. So 17, gentlemen, is a stormwater management bylaw, we were okay with that. Is there a motion to approve?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
18 is a floodplain overlay. We've done this numerous times in the past years. It's just updating the maps. Should have been done last year, but because of COVID, is a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's kind of housekeeping, really. To see if the town will vote to amend the Acushnet general bylaws. This is the common driveway. This one might, I don't know about it, but it's a zoning one, so we might not make it. Number 19, are we okay with it in theory?
So moved, yes.
Second.
Yep.
All those in favor?
All right.
And number 20 goes back to the general bylaws for the materials and the garbage and things of that nature stored in front of people's properties on the streetway, so everybody can see what I got.
Yep, so moved.
Motion to approve, second. All those in favor?
All right.
And then we got 21, Upland Circle. We've been through that. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
22, see if the vote was on for the light manufacturing, that's striking light manufacturer out of the residential aid district. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
23, street away, putting the pavement back in just the definition, that's all that this is, the motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
24 is the soil conservation bylaw. Is there a motion to approve?
So
It's
moved.
got an appendix C.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
And then we're scrapping the groundwater protection overlay district. And 26, we have to scrap as well because we don't have a conservation bylaw, so strike. Is a motion to table 25 and 26 articles.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
27 37 is the town clerk on the Saturdays, and with the last day of performance in any act as such office falls on Saturday when said office is closed, the act may be performed on the next succeeding business day. It's for the town clerk. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is for the Board of Assessors to charge $25 for a certified abutters list to anybody that's required to have one.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
29, gentlemen, is basically a standard article. It's wood community preservation. We've gone through it last night with the amounts. It's a 10%, 10%, 10% in all categories of the allocation. And the remaining $130,859 to the fiscal 2022 Community Preservation Fund debt budgeted reserve. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Number 30 is 25,000 bucks for the improvement and rebuilding of soccer fields. Second phase of Selectmen won't, as said yesterday. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
31 is for the park for repaving the basketball courts on the community preservation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is housekeeping. It's just authorizing the cemetery board to perform work. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
33, all those in favor? Sorry, going ahead of myself. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then the next one's basically the same thing for the Park and Recreations Commission to perform work in the park. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
34 is our revolving funds, gentlemen. It's basically housekeeping. Everybody at town meeting have seen this before. It's just to allow them to put money in an account. Is there a motion to approve Article 34?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
35 is the creation of a new one for recycling. We've discussed this for the recycling center, the monies that come in, so they'll have some monies available, and it only allows them to expend up to $10,000 out of the account. Is there a motion to approve the new revolving fund for recycling, Article 35?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
36 is Library Board of Trustees to sell things for books for a buck, housekeeping. We do it every year. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
37 is to vote to establish an infrastructure capital expense stabilization fund established in the Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, effective for the fiscal year 2022, beginning in July 1st, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
38 is to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate contribution into the OPEB fund in the amount of $100,000. And before we go, Julie,
Mm-hmm.
you and I talked, and didn't we say, or I thought I would see something a little bit more. When we did an article, I think it was Mr. Noble that did an article, and it wasn't a legitimate article, and we never got to put the money that we had
Yep.
into the state's fund,
Yep.
so that we could try to stop compounding our interest
Yep.
higher than, the savings rate or whatever we're getting now, like, 0.5% versus we missed a couple of game buster years in the stock market, so,
Mm-hmm.
the average return in the market's 10+%. So we got a little, what is this doing though? This is,
It's still
it's
moving.
just taking the money and putting it where that other money's parked for now, and we gotta do a more intricate
Yeah.
OPEB trust article.
No, so the article was done wrong. It was corrected in a year after. I forget what years they were. So I actually have something from the treasurer, because she's been working with our financial consultants and the state to make sure that we have all the paperwork needed. We had to get updated certifications and stuff like that. So you guys actually have something. I'll put on an upcoming agenda for you to sign, and then essentially
That's right.
everything gets to get transferred over.
We did already go back to town. I think it was last year we corrected that.
Yeah, it was recent. There was something wrong
All
with
right,
the
cool.
wording, so.
So, gentlemen, is there an appetite to put $100,000 in OPEB fund? That is, for everybody at home, it's other post-employment benefits. It's basically retiree benefits, health insurance costs, and things of the like.
Mm-hmm. So,
Is there a motion to approve?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide certain money to be transferred to the stabilization fund. It's a housekeeping run, correct, Ms. Bieber?
Yep, so essentially whatever we have
Yep.
left over, we usually put in here.
Correct. And then 40, gentlemen, is it's a resolution for people that have worked here in the past and recognizing them. And I still don't know what the word public wheel means. Did you figure it out? Did
I
you
looked
look
it up. I don't know, I don't remember it now.
But anyways, their motion to approve Article 40.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Alright,
Did we make a motion to approve 39?
no, I didn't.
Can we have a motion to approve Article 39?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Alright.
Okay, so that,
Mr. Chair, it's my understanding, or Julie, we're waiting for a response from Jeff Lake or
Yep,
Pam concerning
certain articles,
zoning bylaw
something like
articles.
that.
so zoning bylaw article changes have a public hearing requirement by the planning board. They're aware of it, they have to post a meeting, it is changed in advance. It doesn't have to be before we go to print, it has to be before town meeting actually happens. So I believe last year when we had town meeting in June, the meeting for, like, the public hearing was like 2 days before town meeting, if I'm not mistaken. It was like the Thursday and we had town meeting on that Saturday. So as long as it's right before town meeting, that's fine. So even if we did have to have one for some reason for our article, we can still do that. We're well within 2 weeks of town meeting, but
Alright.
I'm not aware of any general bylaw meeting.
You said, I mean, we talked like a week or two ago, when I said, did we send this off to town council? I
Yeah.
would have thought town council would have flagged this and
Me
said,
too.
hey, you guys gotta do a public hearing.
Me too. Well, Jeff hasn't given me his comments back yet, but he's almost done. I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah, that's
So-
fine, so let's see what happens, hey, whatever, it happens, if it don't, we'll just have to table it on town meeting floors, it's that simple. Everything stays normal the way we do it, and if their planning board can't get in there advertising and they're meeting on time, we need to be let known that when we're on town meeting floor and we gotta blow it up, we'll just table it.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think, when Pam was talking to me earlier, she did say that, she was meeting with Max and Rizzo so that she could go over what he needed to have posted and, in the correct amount of time. So I think he should be able to, but then that's when she told me about our 2 articles, and I was like, oh, well, we didn't know we had to do those, so that's why I
I
wanted
know.
to bring it up.
Well, see, is she referencing any kind of mass general law on that? I mean, Pam's usually pretty good with what she's doing, but I
She
don't know.
didn't quite mention it to me, but she just wanted
Whatever.
to kind of give us a heads
Yeah,
up
that's
that we
fine.
might have to
Oh,
put it on,
Pam's texted me,
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. No, on that subject matter.
alright, so that's all I wanted to make sure that we know that, that's what she told me this afternoon.
Thanks, Lisa.
So, right now, we got, town meeting is scheduled for May 10th,
Yes.
7 PM,
Yep,
Ford Middle School.
that's right.
And town elections are May 15th, Saturday.
Mhm.
I think Pam's gonna give us some kind of notification on that, right?
Yeah, I think so. She usually does.
And then don't forget what we talked about last night about the Old Colony appointment.
Yeah, you put this, I seen it, so
Yeah.
that's the two good to
Right.
go?
So I
So we
emailed,
should do that? Oh, wait a minute, we gotta do joint meetings, so
Yeah, that's
Selectman
before
Warren
the-
was right on point on his comments about doing it before town meeting.
right,
Yep.
so I emailed everybody, the
Mhm.
town moderator, Old Colony, they don't need to come, but just so they know, but,
School committee
the school
members
committee
do.
members, the chairperson, I don't have all the emails, but I emailed her and I emailed Kelly Benavides from she works in the business office. I emailed Kristen and Dr. Bailey, so that they all know. And
They
I
need a
asked if everybody
quorum.
would be available.
The school committee needs, and so does the Board of Selectmen, which obviously we will, but the
Yes.
school committee needs a quorum
Right.
of their committee in order for us to legally take that vote.
Right, so I emailed them all, I mean, they pretty much know that.
Okay.
But
Yep.
I'm waiting just for their feedback, and then we can make sure we can post a meeting for 6:30.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's not gonna take long.
okay.
No,
Anything, Ms. Hebert, on the town administrator's report?
No, nothing new.
Any announcements from the, that's been taken off the agenda, now we don't do selectmen's announcements if we have anything? No?
We'll let it back. I don't know how that happened.
Cut, copy, paste. So we got nothing, and you just saying that we're gonna meet next week, Tuesday night?
Yeah, so we had Tuesday, but we
Oh,
added
we
today
gotta
as an
get
extra
like a
day.
week break here.
I know, well, just knowing that we had a lot to go through, we added today as an extra day, and I think it is helpful, because now at least we have Tuesday to finish up that stuff we don't have answers for yet.
I spent more time with you than I have my family in the last couple of weeks. Well, hopefully we'll be all right with the bylaw review committee and see what town council says, and
Yeah,
I'll
about
talk to
the
Ms. Labonte about the articles, but whatever, it's no big deal. We have the conversation, if it gets struck, it gets struck, and, wait for fall, it's no big deal. We've been dealing with it all of this time. So, and Lisa, just keep that in mind, because I'll forget, the joint meeting, have that for the town meeting, just making sure we post it.
Yeah, okay.
And the school committee has to also post,
Right.
because they'll have a quorum. Thank you. Gentlemen, any other further business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned.